Hello, awakeness. It's good to be back with you consciously. Now, let me tell you that I have actually been with you here consciously for, probably close to half an hour. And I have gone through many different beginnings to this, which is a little unusual. I'm just clicking off things on the screen. I'm sorry. And it's a little unusual, but it's but it's not unusual for there to be 2 or 3 times. It's unusual to have 9 or 10 times, and this is at least 10, and I think maybe beyond that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow up. I'm just going to slow this unit down and see if that won't bring Video Guy out in a clear sort of way, which means I'm asking Video Guy just to disappear. He's not here anyway, in fact, but it's a feeling that the unit has where it's very confident when it approaches filming one of these things. And there is a confidence that I'm feeling right now simply because the unit has slowed down its delivery of the truth. So what we're going to discuss here today is something that I have never heard another spiritual teacher address ever. And it doesn't mean that nobody's addressed it. It just means that they haven't addressed it in my presence, or I haven't overheard them somehow. And I don't have reports of them talking about it either. And the name of the video is Claiming Your Awakening. And that's what we're going to talk about. But let's understand something. This is awakeness. It's not just this unit, but it's awakeness. Think of space as being awakeness's body. And it includes, space includes what? It includes both of these units. So the truth is that there's only space, or spaciousness would be a way to put it, better way to put it, more accurate. There's only spaciousness, but there's a sense of being here and here and here and here and here. And once there's a sense of being here, it won't be long before it will be a sense of being a particular thing if it's an animate object. And it's not an animate object unless you inhabit it. Because the object itself, it's just like rocks, right? Rocks, they have the potential for consciousness because they're matter. They're matter within the dream of this world. But the thing about this matter, and when we're talking about brain matter, and we're talking about trying to remember, trying to claim your awakening, is that we just can't remember them. And the reason we can't remember them is that it's ridiculous for us to assume that we can. The new telescope has just shown us like 100,000 new galaxies. Now I can just say that roll off the tongue, 100,000 new galaxies, right? But we're not even a speck in this one galaxy. And we just discovered 100,000 more of them. And we already knew that there were millions or whatever, and countless galaxies, and now there's more countless galaxies, however that works. So 3 pounds of goo, which is what the brain really boils down to, can't be expected to understand infinity. Because see, infinity is not, like, for instance, not the presence of a lot of time. Infinity means the absence of time. You don't actually live, you are not living in infinity. Your body, so to speak, is infinity. So you can't live in what you are. So you are infinity. The mind will never pull that up. Just not in a million years will the mind ever comprehend what that really means. And you are expressing yourself as all of these things, as matter, as matter, including human matter and dog matter and all this, and tree matter. You're expressing yourself as matter. But that's an expression. Now, it's an expression of something, the same thing as the truth of something. I think it can be, but I don't think it has to be. Like when an artist paints a picture, if it's not abstract, then the artist is looking at one of my clients is a painter, and she goes and she looks at the ocean, and then she paints what she sees, or some facsimile of what she sees. And she sees what she sees as an artist, which might not be exactly the same thing that you and I would see. But if she can pull that off, if she can actually put down on canvas what she's really seeing, that painting will become worth a fortune if that's ever discovered and widely known, because everybody wants a picture of what the artist is seeing. What the artist is seeing is infinity, and it's painting some kind of expression of infinity. But your expression that you are a unit, that's very, very confusing for you. It really is. And not that you don't love it, you do, because it's the only way that you can experience yourself objectively, right? I mean, when you're a human being, you get to go up into the mountains and stop at an overlook and go, notice that big in-breath. Oh, and what that is just a recognition of your size, because you didn't feel so big, but now you're experiencing yourself as all this space. And that will take a unit's breath away. And you will think that you remember the mountains. But let me, if I go back and look at some of these mountain views, I can kind of remember, a little bit about them. I can remember there's a road that looks kind of like some sort of way in my mind, but I bet it doesn't look too much like that. And I can remember stopping in an overlook. I can remember that. But when I'm really remembering all the times that I stopped in overlooks. And I can't even tell you which car I was in on a given day, because I've had a lot of cars, and I've taken a lot of cars to that overlook and other overlooks similar to it. I don't even know if it was the overlook that I'm now seeing in my mind. That's probably just some gel of all the overlooks that have been seen through this body by awakeness. It's awakeness noticing itself, expressing itself, and then noticing itself as form. But all of this form comes from where? If it's not coming from form, which is what we're looking to find out where this came from, we can't say that it came from itself in the sense of form doesn't come from form. Form comes from emptiness, hence the no thing. See, this no thing is the breeder of all of this form. This form arises from that. And when it does, the formless will think that I'm one of these units. It'll think it's a Fred Davis instead of recognizing that it's all the units and all the non-unit, every object in the world, in the universe, and also much more than just objects, right? It's just everything that is. But the everything that is can't actually confine itself to 3 pounds of goo. It just can't be seen like that, because this is the finite, the very, very, very finite. It's 3 pounds of goo, for God's sake. And it wants to claim that it understands infinity. Yeah, I get it. No, you don't. You don't. This doesn't either. I don't get infinity because I'm using this as an expression to talk to myself through the expression of another unit over there. But both these units are actually awakeness. And both these units are actually, they are awakeness. And they are apparently alive awakeness. But both of them probably aren't alert awakeness coming to recognize itself. But if you are, congratulations. I'm so glad you made it here. You come here too. You come here too, and you love it every time you do. But if you're not believing, if you're not understanding or believing or experiencing yourself as everything, that comes from, where does everything come from? It comes from nothing. But it can't be nothing, nothing. So we don't understand nothing either. We don't understand nothing, and we don't understand infinity. These are concepts that the mind can sort of get the edges of. And once it does get those edges of it, it fills in the blanks, right? Just like physicists do, fills in the blanks. And then it thinks it knows something. And what it thinks it knows is it thinks it knows that form is different from emptiness. But that's not true. Emptiness and form are the same. But when you are like this, when you like this is right now, which is like, this is not a conscious unit. It's not even this unit's not even alive, but it looks alive. It sounds alive. It talks alive because aliveness itself is working through it. It's using this thing as a tool, the same way that a carpenter uses a hammer or a plumber uses a wrench. And when a plumber fixes the pipe, it doesn't say good wrench. I'm so glad. And the wrench doesn't pop up and say, I did it. But we humans do. When the unit is used as a tool, the tool claims that it is the action figure. And the action figure is separate and has self-appointed action, right? Free will. But really doesn't. And we can look at that in any kinds of, and I do look at it. I've got like, there's 300 videos up there that this unit has put up there for you, and the thousands that others have put up along with this unit. And they're all trying to help you see the very simple truth that right now you're looking at yourself. If you're looking at the computer screen right now, you're looking at yourself. Hello. and this is you too. And this used, well, this is really a model, but this used to be a finite, used to be a real one would have been an animate object, and now it would be an inanimate object. But we will still look at it because when we look at it, it reflects many things, such as mortality, because all of these things are going to die. But there's none of them make it out alive, but they all pretend like they're going to, right up to the very bitter end. And it's just not true. I mean, I can remember I've seen more than one 90-year-old in the last week of their death. I mean, last week or so of their life, when they were, there was no sense of being there, but they were still breathing and all that. And we don't want to halt that, because then we've got to say, well, this damn thing's dead. Really been dead all along, but that's a long story. What I want to talk about is claiming your awakening. And when I say that, I don't mean that unit over there is going to claim its awakening. That unit can't even have one. This unit didn't have one. Everybody thinks it did, and a lot of people around the world, boo, boo, like this thing had an awakening, and it's really got something on you. But this thing cannot have an awakening. It's a unit, but this unit is of you, but it does not equal you. And you think that you equal, like my little dog Willie, guarantee it. I mean, you can see his behavior. He pretty much thinks he's the center of the world. And this one used to think that too, right? It really did. It looked to me, I mean, everywhere I looked, I was right in the center. So it looked like everything was all about me. What I didn't realize was that there was nothing here. It was uninhabited. So when awakening happens, it doesn't happen to the unit. It doesn't happen to the hammer. Awakening happens to the carpenter. Awakening happens to what? To awakeness itself. See, it's the awakening is simply awakeness coming to consciously notice itself, where it knows, oh, now this is beyond an intellectual understanding, because people try to run that past me all the time. Had somebody do it just yesterday. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You can't see this thing merely intellectually and then try to sell me on the fact that you are really an awakened being. You can try it for a little while. You might even fool me for a little while, but over just a few minutes, probably over just a little while, you're going to give yourself away by making a human comment about a human thing. So that is of no point, no use, it has no fruit to it. But noticing that that awakeness is what awakens. Now that's got real fruit. I mean, this unit's been eating that fruit for a very long time, and it's never gotten old. It just doesn't get old. Is it flashy? No. It's not flashy. Is it wonderful? Absolutely. Is it extraordinary? No. It's really ordinary. But what we could say about this particular ordinary is that it's the extraordinary ordinary. It takes ordinary life, and you get to really see what it is, and some little bit of how this works changes everything. When awakening comes, the only thing it changes is everything. But the point is, it changes everything as long as the unit is willing to forego a separate identity. And when awakening happens through a unit, it's the unit that claims it. And the unit will say, I had an awakening. I'll have units tell me that all the time. But they talk to me for a little while and they come to see, well, hell, I didn't have an awakening after all, did I? It was awakeness that had the awakening through that unit, right? Damn, I'm just moving all over today. A lot of energy here. That's a good thing. There hadn't been a hell of a lot of energy here lately. So what I want you to do, when I say I want you to claim your awakening, is when you have an awakening, I want you to recognize, oh, I've had an awakening. And even if it feels like the unit, just come to know, it's not the unit. The only thing that can wake up is awakeness itself. It comes to recognize itself as what? As everything. So you come from nothing, but when you display yourself, we call that oneness. So we got nothing and we got everything. But the mind can't actually comprehend either one of those, but it thinks it can. And so it tells a story all about otherness. So yeah, that's what the mind is sold on, is that there's other. But there's no other. It's just this as it is. There's just this as you are right now. So claiming your awakening is acknowledging it. Because see, I see people have awakenings all the time. I saw a unit have an awakening last week, and I saw it grab it back. And I saw it grab hold of its false identity again and again and again and again. And, I asked the unit, I said, so do you want to know about awakening? Because there were questions were just coming, right? What do you want to know about awakening, or do you want to wake up? And finally, it was decided that waking up was better than understanding waking up, which is impossible. anyway. So you may as well go for what's possible. And it is possible for awakeness to know itself. And when it does, sometimes there's a kind of a boom. It's like a party. And other times it's just like a, oh, wow. Or maybe not even a wow, just, oh, it's probably going to be that much, right? It's going to be something. I mean, because you've just had a moment of clarity. That is what a glimpse is. It's a moment of clarity. And what is a moment of clarity? It's a moment without Fred. It's a Fred-free moment. And when awakeness realizes that it's experiencing a Fred-free moment, then it knows, hell, there's no Fred and there never was. And there's no doubt about this whatsoever. And you suddenly can recognize all the spiritual things that that have been thrown at you, and you couldn't catch them, but you can catch them now. You can understand what was not previously understood, but let's just use that term very lightly about understood, because it's not really understood. It's just witnessed. It's recognized. So, but what happens right after that is that you go to sleep. You go back to sleep like this lady did, right? You have this and awakening. So I had one awakening yesterday with somebody in satsang. Y'all come to satsang. It's amazing things happen. This was somebody who had been to satsang a couple of years ago. I hadn't been there since. And he came to satsang yesterday, and he had not had luck before, but I woke his ass up in satsang, and more than 30 people witnessed it. So I think there's very little doubt that it really did happen. So come to satsang. It can be very exciting, and you might be the one waking up. Who knows? But if not, you're going to be on the path to waking up, and you will come to recognize that probably at some point. So claiming your awakening means when the awakening occurs, can you take just a moment to acknowledge the fact that awakening has occurred? Can you say, I have woken up? Can you say, I see that there is no Fred, but I have woken up through this body. I actually am the same awakeness that everything else is, but through this body, I've come to know what I am. And what I am is not other. There is no other. That's the whole thing. If it hadn't been for the myth of other, you would have never had gone to sleep. You would have never taken a nap. But the funny thing is, my sense is that you enjoy taking naps because you enjoy experiencing yourself as other. Because you can go to the mountains and you can look over the overlook and you can go, oh my God, look at that. How beautiful, how magnificent. Can you believe this? And really, it's just vanity. Yeah, right? Vanity, vanity. All really is vanity. And so you need to declare. When I say you, forget who I'm talking about. It doesn't make any difference if you do think you're the unit. Check on that awakening. Who had it? Was it the unit? Was it the body? No. But what have you come to me for? In like an awakening session or something, or skillful means. You've come to me so that you can consciously come to know yourself, and there will be, and it will probably be enough duration that there will be enough slip-ups that the unit will see that there's an awakening, but it's not mine, because there's no Fred. And the thing about there being no Fred is that not only no Fred, there never has been a Fred. See, and you get to thinking, well, I did so-and-so. That's a false reference. If I'm saying that, it's a reference to something that maybe happened to this body, but false memories are always around. And, eyewitnesses get it wrong all the time. And So even when we know something via our visual experience or our bodily experience, what do they call it? I can't think of the name of it. But at any rate, when we know things through the body, then it will be forgotten, or it will be overlaid. It won't really be forgotten because it was nothing to remember. It's just that all the false stuff fell away. See, awakeness cannot, or the Fred unit cannot have an awakening experience, because the awakening experience is coming to see that there is no Fred. So, but instead of coming to see that through some sort of logic or some sort of, well, I guess that's what it has to be or whatever, it's when you just realize, oh my God, of course, how could I have missed this? Now, when I say, how could I have missed this, what am I referring to? I'm referring to this, just as it is, which includes these two units that believe that they are two different units, so they can come together and pretend to have a conversation about pretending to wake up. Because see, awakeness actually has no ability to take a nap. It's awakeness. With a name like awakeness, there's just no napness in that thing. But if you don't claim your awakening, and it doesn't matter if it's the human that claims it, and it does matter if you really believe it was the human that had it, but if you can claim it even as a human being and then investigate it, is that true? I think you'll come to see that it's not. Everybody I've talked to will come to see that it wasn't the unit that woke up. It wasn't the personality that woke up. It was awakeness that woke up. And what did awakeness wake up to? Guess what? Oneness. How come? Because the reflection of no thing is everything. Consciousness is nothing unto it itself, but it is the mechanism by which everything can be experienced. So it actually comes to be the vehicle of awakening for awakeness itself, which is prior to consciousness. Now we're getting into some stuff that's hard to understand. You don't need to understand it. I don't need to understand it. I do, so to speak, but the one who says I do doesn't exist. See? I don't actually know anything. There's knowing, but there's not knowing about. And there's no knower. There's no knower, and guess what? There's no known. There's knowing, but that's all there is. There's just knowing. And when you figure out there's a sense of being, guess what that is? That's knowing. But it may not be knowing that you are awakeness. It may be confused with knowing that you are this human. And you will be in a world where this is a separate unit until you come to see the truth. And it's hard to do. I mean, it really isn't. I think the guy that I woke up yesterday, I think it was about 20 minutes, and he was in a room full of 30 people, right? And we're just, and there's, a lot of, there's somewhat distraction because we're on a screen and everybody else is on the screen. And we're talking, and something incredible happens, and you can't ever guess what it is in advance. You just can't. So quit trying. If you were knocking on a door and it didn't open, and you were knocking on that door for 40 years, wouldn't you feel a little silly? But no one's coming to this door. I'd go try a different door, but we seekers don't. But coming to recognize that it was not the unit's awakening, that it wasn't the personality's awakening, it wasn't the fictitious character's awakening. See, when you have a fictional character, what can it experience? Nothing, because the character itself is fictional, right? So you can't you can't weigh it. You can't do anything with it because it doesn't exist. It's just a thought. right? It's just a thought. And what we have to do is we have to come to see behind these thoughts, or underneath these thoughts, we could say. We have to come to see that from which all of this springs. And when we come to see it through a unit, we will likely report something like, oh, it was the void. Well, what's the void like? Well, it's just really big and quiet, but there's stars there or something. If it's a void, there ain't nothing in it. See, a void with stars is not the void. The void is emptiness itself, sort of like awakening happening to awakeness itself. Then any exploration of the void that reports content, that the void was not experienced. It was just something that was experienced that looked and felt like the void, and the unit decided it was the void so that this damn journey could be over and I could graduate and get back to playing cards or whatever it was that I loved to do before I got mixed up with this damn non-duality that's had me by the nose ever since. Isn't that right? God, this thing has just gone on and on and on. It must be about 40 minutes long or something like that. So I've made up for all those 5 mentors, but those 5-minute videos, they're important too. 3-minute videos, they're important too. Everything's pointing to the same thing. A glimpse is exactly the same thing as a blowout awakening, because there's only one thing that can happen, which is awakeness comes to see that there's no Fred, no Bob, whatever. And it may not even remember that it saw that there was no Bob, because see, there's no Bob there to remember that there's no Bob. It's just awakeness. And awakeness doesn't have any memory. If you doubt that, ask Betsy. She'll tell you, man, that damn thing ain't got any memory at all. But I wonder if this has been helpful. I'm thinking it might have been. So I know, well, actually, I know I'm going to get some emails on this thing, and it will have helped out maybe a bunch of you. Did you know that I get email almost every day from people who've woken up from this teaching in one format or another? It might be an awakening session. It might be a video. It might be a book. I don't know. God forbid the hair. It's bad hair day, so I put a hat on and trick me into thinking that I'm a guy who fixes my hair every day when I don't. I'm not even a guy, am I? No. But I'm pretending to be a guy. Because I love wearing these clothes. It's a new sweater. Do you like it? I like it a lot. I like dressing this thing up. Why? No idea. And I'm actually charmed by this unit. Why? No idea. I just can't not be. I think it's very funny. Is it? I don't know, but it thinks it is. Maybe you do too. Who knows? So awakeness, when you wake up, claim your awakening. And awakeness, if you're sitting over there and you're saying, damn, I had an awakening some time ago, but it's gone. That's a lie. That's bullshit. Awakeness does not come and go. What comes and goes is the belief in a character. And what it will be is that Fred will think Fred had like a non-dual experience. But the funny thing is, there's no Fred, so there's no possible way that Fred can have a non-dual spiritual experience. There's actually only this, which means that it's awakeness that has a no Fred experience. It experiences a no Fred moment, a Fredless moment, right? And then see, in the absence of a Fred, there's only this as it is. And we'll see that that's really the tip of the iceberg. But that's enough for now. It's enough for now. Well, but you're going to clear up over a period of years. You're going to clear up what will feel like you will experience, because you're taking form here, and you're going to experience relativity just as if it's real and just as if it's yours. All the trials and tribulations. See, It has to be trials and tribulations. It can't be just good. It can't be just the white part, right? It's just always rolling. In the center of one extreme, there is the seed of the other extreme. So, you see how that works? Like that? Cool, isn't it? Damn, I've got to see if I can shut this thing up. I had a hell of a time getting it started. I did cut like 15 tries of this thing, and which is rare, but I just had stick-to-itiveness today. I was going to get a video out if it killed me. And it did. It killed Fred, and the video guy came out, which means awakeness came out to talk on the video. Crazy as all that is. It's too mixed up. Don't try to understand it. Just notice it, and notice that you can notice noticing. What is noticing? That's what's important. What we don't spend all of our time on what's noticed. Who cares? It's coming and go like crazy. What is it that doesn't come and go? The noticing. We could say the noticer, but I can't find a noticer and I can't find a separate noticed. I just notice noticing. I think that if you have noticed noticing, whatever it is that you think you are, claim it so that you don't have to go back and search for it. If you had a moment of clarity, then just notice it for what it is. You're waiting for your awakening, and that was it. And you've had now 15 glimpses. You've had 15 awakenings, and you're waiting for the big one. There may not be a big one. The little ones come far more often than the big ones do. And trust me, you don't really want a big one, because this one had a big one. And it was left awakeness confused through this unit for quite a time span, even though awakeness is not a creature of time. I'm gonna go. If not, this thing will talk forever. So I love you. Thank you for showing up. That's great. And come back. Let's talk some more soon, real soon. Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.